So you hit the butterfly all the way down, and you can arrange the throw for butterfly. So now you have butterfly full down, you have a symmetrical throw in the bottom, 50% up, we have sub-trimmed them to be accurate, and it's perfect, and the top you have lined up with the trailing edge. Now, this is the best case scenario, meaning that if you have any deviation in the mechanical structures or some differences in the servos itself, you might not get the same speed in the servos when you deploy the flaps. You might, and you might not be able to linear the flaps in the sub-trim, which was 50% deployed. So now it's the fourth thing that you need to consider, and that is to change the endpoints. If you get a problem, you need to readdress the endpoints to change where you have the sub-trim 0. So you can change this. So I haven't activated butterfly. Let me show you. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Some technical failures there, but this is where we were. We were discussing endpoints. Endpoint setting up the butterfly. So you can change the endpoints. And then automatically the sub-trim will change and the flap setting. So if I change the flap endpoints on this servo, I need to go back and do everything all over again. Deploy 50% down. I need to do the sub-trim again on the flap and flap 2. So I might need to change this for a couple of percentage. I need to pull the stick full up. Go into the flap setting and then adjust this a little bit. And voila, done correctly. You might have come up with a nice smooth movement of the flap servo. So it's the more accurate the mechanics are for the flap servo, the easier it is to set it up. This is the functions you use. You use the sub-trim when you have deployed 50% of the joystick 3. You set the flap settings when joystick 3 is at 0 and butterfly when it is full down. And then you work with the endpoints if this 3 steps does not line up well. Okay. Now we have a glider where the wing is nicely set up with a trailing edge according to the airfoil. And the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to set the presets that you want to have in certain flight conditions. For example, you want to have some camber during launch perhaps, or some camber during thermal and stuff like that. So to be able to do that, let's say that we want to go into thermal and we want to put some camber on thermal. We go into the model menu. we use the mixer called T18MZ. The T18MZ, it enables you to put in a preset number on any of the servos in the wing or the tail. So we might say that we want to have 20%. This is just a figure for your understanding. It's nothing scientific or correct by any way. Let's say that all of these four numbers gives a camber that goes down when pulling the thermal mode in. Going back into distance, you see I have the same number. Why was it like that? Well, I forgot what I said earlier. You have a group function here. You better have separate so you can trim each flight mode as it is. So I will zero out these. This is what happens if you forget if you're in a group or a separate state of any mix in the radio. So if I'm now I have 0 on any, here see the conditions. So T18MZ, I'll activate it and I hit single. So, and this is now also kind of very important. You need to do this on each and every flight condition. So we can take launch, for example. On my launch, I want to have some deployment of the aileron. Flap. It's rather big numbers here, but it's just for showing you how it works. Don't pay attention to the number itself, just where I'm setting it up. So I have a nice launch cable of, I don't know, 10-15 millimeters down. For that I need some elevator. Maybe I want some elevator down. Maybe I hit 5%. This is down. This is elevator. Plus minus is up or down. It depends. You need to have the glider assembled and ensure that the 50 is down on the wing here and the 50% here is down on the elevator. I can't tell right now if it is like that. So that's launch 1, and maybe you need to have it on launch 2. Well, launch 2. Launch 1 we had 50, 60, so here we have a little bit lower to gain speed perhaps. Oh, sorry. So, and I'll keep the differences. I'll not have any preset on the V-tail. So launch 2, and then I want to go out in speed mode, for example. I don't know if this is a correct one, but it's still the other way than the speed mode might have 2% of trim down. And now you do exactly the same on all conditions where you want to have a change in the trailing edge. And the conditions, we had 8, so it's 8 times you need to do this setup. Then you can, if you want, adjust the speed of the servo. When you change, you can on the conditions, you can have a delay between changing flight conditions. That it can be good if you don't want the servos to pull maximum immediately. If you want to have a smooth transition from a distance condition into a thermal condition, for example. So now we have a glider where we have set up presets on all the conditions where you want to have it. We have symmetrical throws on the wing and on the V-tail. And we have chosen if we want to have a exponential curve or whatever in the AFR. So the next step is to put in the accurate throw on the V-tail and wing. And to do that, you go into model menu, which is here. You go into aileron differential. And the aileron differential, you set up what you want going from the on the right and on the left, right. What number you need to get the aileron differential you need on each side of the aileron. So set up like this, you use the end point for 100% and 80% is 80% of the end point down. So if I'm going to do let's see if I'm we don't do that. This is also needed to be done in all flight phases. Yeah, I have the same, so I need to go to single. 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 So launch 2, I might have 100% differential. Launch 1. I also want to have 100% differential. But in the speed, I want to have let's say only 5% difference. Four on that one too. Always measure your throws. Don't count on that the percentage here is exactly what in millimeters or degrees you get in throws on the wing. So now we covered aileron differential that you need to set up for each and every flight condition. And it varies. You most likely will end up in having 100% to 0 in a launch mode, to have almost a symmetrical one on speed, to have more aileron differential on thermal, for example. This will differ due to the construction or the design platform of the glider that you are programming, and it will differ due to the airfoil also and the flight envelope. So let's leave aileron differential. We have done that. So now we have a glider where we have set up the accurate throws of the wing on all flight conditions, including aileron differential, including presetting for any flap camber deployment coming out of the T18MZ 1. So now let's hit the V-tail. For that we have a function called V-tail. And this is a really easy one. First of all, if you want it to be the same throws on the V-tail for any flight conditions, you keep this as a group. As always, if you wanted to have individual per flight conditions, you put it as a single. I'll keep it as a group right now. In real life, I would most likely have it as separate, but you do as you feel fit and your flying style. And this is, of course, what it says here. It's 50% of the endpoints that we have set up. So I want to have, let's say, a little bit down. I want to be able to push when I dive out of the line, and the up might be 50%, and the rudder, we need a lot of rudder. And earlier I said when you set the endpoints that you set them symmetrically each way. The reason for that is that the aileron differential that we just covered and this function, it's so much easier to set up. You will get very close to the same numbers and so on when you already have done the endpoints symmetrically. So that's the tip of the day from me. Okay, so that's the V-tail. Now that's done. So now we have a fully functional glider with a lot of throws. We have presets. We have camber on each and every flight conditions. We have a V-tail that works. Now we could check the CG and go out and fly after we find the gliding, and then the trim the aileron differential, of course, more accurate while after you've been test flying, the same as the elevator and rudder throws as any other glider. So with this I could end here, but I'm going to give you a small tip that people might not realize, is that if you want to have more possibilities to pull, for example, camber, you can use something called T18MZ. T18MZ is nothing more than a second trim mix. So we have on each flight condition set the preset here, and we had it as T18MZ1. T18MZ2 enables us to have a second setting on each flight condition. So let's say I'm in thermal, and in thermal 2 I want to have a second throw. Okay, activate, single on thermal 2, and here I want to have even more, say 50%. Just shooting out the number now again, don't pay attention to the number itself. Sorry about that. And this I want on another switch or slider or whatever. I might want to have it on the right slider. I'll take it on the switch. I'll take it on the SD, which is here. SD. And the on position, I want it to be when I pull it there. Close. Close. Please look at this. I am in thermal 2 and I want to pull thermal 2 plus or thermal 3, call it whatever. It's not a separate flight condition, but it's a possibility to give you another camber by this mix. On, off, thermal 2 off, thermal 2 on. Remember, I'm in trim mix menu. If I go into the trim mix 1, you will have an on this one. You see? I go back to trim mix 2. It's an off until I pull the SD one lever. So now I have three thermal cambers in 2 flight conditions. So finally, to set up a world-class glider, you need to have some sort of elevator to camber mix. Elevator to camber mix is, according to Futaba, what they call elevator to camber. It's really easy. As same as always, you have the group versus the single. If you wanted to have a separate switch, but I always have it on always on. So I put it on. I'm not going to use it on single. And I want to have so here I've set up a linear mix, pulling the elevator. If the plus minus is here is correct, I don't know right now. You get camber. If I pull down, you get less camber. And as any mix you can choose, if linear does not fit you, okay, put up a curve or whatever. You might want to have a sorry about that. Let's see. Let's do like that. Great. Okay. For example, you can put a line where you have immediately some throws on the elevator. You pull elevator, bam, you have maximum camber. Nothing happens the last you throw the elevator. The same here. And if a 7-point curve, whatever, doesn't suit you, you can insert more points, you can deduct points, whatever. Please look at the manual. So this was the elevator to camber, and with this I would say that you have a fully functional F3X glider that needs to be fine-tuned while or after flying. Don't fine-tune while you're flying unless you have it set up, that function. Good luck with your programming, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and tutorial. So see you at an airfield. Have a nice flight and good thermals. Thank you. Jonas Ekman, over and out.